Good evening and welcome to our webinar. We'll get started here in just a moment. Can you see the screen? If you would, just maybe drop a note in the chat. Let me know if you can see the screen or not. Or Q&A, I think it's called. All right, looks like you can see it. Awesome. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started. It is 7:30. Appreciate everybody joining us tonight. We are going to record this, so if there, for some reason you want to go back and watch it later or maybe miss something, we will record it and post it online so that you can do that. So tonight we're going to talk about the ideal year of scouting. And the ideal year of scouting really has three key components: an annual program plan, a budget, and then a fundraising plan. And obviously what we would hope is that you have all three of those. They all go hand in hand, and they're really designed to help you reach your program goals, with the end result being a well-managed, well-financed scouting unit, whether it's a pack, troop, or crew. So the ideal year of scouting is really based on one principle, all right? Getting an entire year of scouting program, including summer camp, by just selling popcorn. Imagine that if you could do all of that with just the popcorn sale. And you can. We're going to talk a little bit more about this as we go forward. So as I mentioned earlier, there's some steps. The first one is planning, and that's really planning your program. So ideally, annually, scouting leaders and parents come together to plan their upcoming year through a process called program planning. Typically that happens in the summer months, June, July, August. And the idea of that is to, through the process, you're going to be able to determine the cost of a unit, right, and what it takes to run that unit for an entire year with activities and functions and advancements and summer camp. And then part of that program planning is developing a budget based on that anticipated cost. And then deciding what part of that budget can be raised through the popcorn sale. And we'll walk through some of these steps in a little bit more detail. So your program planning conference or meeting really should involve as many parents and leaders as possible, and should be done during the summer months before the end of August. Obviously, when you kick off your scouting year in September, you want to make sure that you have all of these pieces in place so that you have a well-planned scouting program. So through the program process, whoops, that's a duplicate slide, I'm sorry. You don't have the wrong way. There we go. Okay, so as we mentioned, step one is planning and developing your unit calendar. And what we suggest is that you gather all kinds of different calendars, if you will. Key school dates, key community dates, dates that your chartered organization may have, special events or meetings or activities where they would want you to participate. Also, any personal dates that might affect your pack, for example, the Cub Masters anniversary cruise, or anniversaries or holidays or any of those kind of things that may affect some of your pack leaders or troop leaders. Obviously, you want to make sure you have district and council dates. And one of the other components, it's really not a calendar, but it will help you put together some of your program, is collecting the family talent survey from your parents. And then ideally, if you have last year's program plan, that would be helpful to have as well. So kind of first step is gathering all of this information and then starting to build your calendar. Obviously, there's a reason that you want to collect school dates and community event dates, is because, you know, that may impact participation, or it may be something that your unit can participate in, whether it's selling popcorn or membership recruitment or whatever. But you want to make sure that you have those dates on your calendar so that either your unit's participating or you're avoiding any conflict with that particular event. So step two is a little bit of brainstorming, and really kind of the time to dream what activities you would like to do in your unit, what activities you've never done before that you may want to try. Sometimes units do a Pinewood Derby, but they never do a Space Derby or Rain Gutter Regatta. So you may want to throw those types of things on there. We encourage you to do this kind of with a flip chart or Post-it notes or whatever works best for you, but kind of just gathering all of these ideas. And then the other piece is, what would get your scouts and parents excited? Is it a special trip somewhere, sleeping overnight on a battleship, or overnight on a baseball field, those kinds of things? What would get your scouts and parents excited? So keep that in mind as you're brainstorming. Just to remember, when brainstorming, there's no bad ideas or suggestions. Throw them up there, let them stick, and then as you go through the process, you can kind of weed those out and determine what might go on the calendar and what may not. So really part two is brainstorming, kind of dreaming the dream. So the third piece is kind of planning and review and finalizing your calendar, looking for any potential conflicts that might occur based on putting all of those calendar dates on. You may have come up with a good idea for an activity through brainstorming, and you want to make sure that you're not conflicting with another activity in your pack or district or council. So this third step is really kind of the final step, but very important in reviewing and finalizing the calendar. This is also maybe where you would vote on some of those brainstorming ideas, which ones you're going to put on the calendar, maybe put off till another time or next year. But again, this is really the final stage where you review and finalize. So step 4 with the planning piece is, once you've decided that this is our calendar, you want to make sure you share the calendar. Make sure everybody gets copies, posted on your website, posted on social media sites, and then have copies available at every activity and each meeting, so people have it and know what's being planned, what's coming up month to month. So now let's talk a little bit about the second step, which is really kind of the budget plan. And developing your annual budget. There's some steps to this as well, but first and foremost, there's some basic operating expenses, if you will, within your unit, whether it's a pack or a troop or a crew, right? You have registration fees, you have unit liability insurance, Boys Life magazine, unit accident insurance, which we collect $1 for, which is basically covered under that unit accident, but you obviously want to make sure you budget it. Advancement and recognition, all the adventures and merit badges and rank advancements that Scouts earn. You want to make sure that those are budgeted. Again, activities, when you develop that calendar, what activities and events do you want to participate in as a pack, and how are those going to be covered? Summer camp obviously is important. You want to make sure that every kid has the opportunity to go to summer camp, and we do not want financial restrictions to be a reason they don't attend. So want to make sure that you budget summer camp, whether you're a Cub Pack going to day camp or resident camp, or Boy Scouts going to resident camp, or venturing going to summer camp, is budgeted in your annual budget. Program materials, that might be some craft supplies or items that you would need for your particular pack. If you're going to do a pack meeting and it's going to be a carnival, and you need carnival supplies or games, those kinds of things, those are kind of your program materials. Some of those things you'll be able to use year after year. They won't necessarily be consumables, but you certainly want to budget for those. Making sure that leaders are provided with an opportunity to go to training, and we encourage units to budget that to help cover the cost of those trainings for the leader. Maybe it's not the entire cost, but a portion of it, or splitting it 50-50 with the unit leader or the leaders, so that they can attend training and become a trained leader. Uniforms, if you do any type of uniforms, whether it's a Class A uniform or an activity shirt that you're going to provide to folks, you want to make sure that that's included in there. Uniforms could also mean neckerchiefs, slides, those types of things that you may give Scouts as they cross over to different programs. Obviously, you want to have a reserve fund. Murphy's Law, right? Anything that can happen will. Sometimes things won't go as well. Sometimes you have to make commitments for activities, and not everybody signs up, so you'll have to provide there will be some money that you'll have to pay that because participation was low. This is where the reserve fund will help cover that. So, and then obviously any other expenses that your pack or troop might have. Again, with the objective being one fundraiser per year, right? I think parents would appreciate that one fundraiser, and not having to, us not having to ask them every 2 weeks or every month for more money for activities or advancements or summer camp fees or registration fees, whatever it might be. So, again, the objective being one fundraiser per year. So this is a budget plan. It's an Excel worksheet. You'll find it, and I'll email this presentation out to you as well, so you have the links. But it's found in a couple of places. Again, it's interactive, so you can fill it in, do all the calculations for you. Again, this is where you would want to have your calendar, and you start to plug in those activities and events and summer camp that you're going to do each month, and then an associated cost to it. So let's say, for example, your September pack meeting is going to be a carnival, and You're going to anticipate $3, $4 per scout for expenses. You would put that in there. This will total everything up for you. You'll want to enter the number of scouts in your unit, and then entering your popcorn sale commission, and it will determine for you your unit sales goal for popcorn and an individual scout sale, or scout goal rather, I'm sorry, what each scout needs to sell to achieve this. Again, this is done at the pack level. So again, putting all your activities on there, putting a cost to them. You may not know exactly, but put your best guess in. Some of them we do know, registration, what that fee is, Boys Life, what that fee is, day camp, you may know what some of those fees are. Go ahead and plug those in, and then this will do the calculations for you. It will really tell you to, number one, how much your unit needs to sell for popcorn. Again, to have that ideal 1 year fundraiser, and then what each particular scout goal, what each of the scouts' goal is for that popcorn sale. Number 3 is communicate, and you can't stress this enough. Communicate often with your leaders and parents about your budget and your unit sales goals. Again, when you're setting your budget and you've determined what your unit goal is, that doesn't happen just by magic. It really happens by communicating and encouraging and making sure scouts are out selling, having show and sell set up, and future webinars will cover some of those types of things. But again, really communicating to your scouts and parents and leaders about the budget, about all the activities you have planned, and in order to do those, this is what you need to raise with your unit. And obviously, you want to remind parents of their scout sales goals, what each scout needs to raise to contribute to the pack operating budget. Again, you want to share this stuff on social media, on websites, distribute copies, and have copies available at meetings and activities. Again, so people don't forget about it, but also if you have somebody new join, you can get that to them fairly quickly so they can hit the ground running. So really some keys to success for program planning and your ideal year of scouting is, number one, set a unit sales goal, right? And through the budget process, that kind of determines what your sales goal will be for your unit. Set your goals for scouts based on, again, that budget worksheet. We encourage units to offer unit incentives, right? Whether it's the first scout that sells $100 or $200 or $300, or first scout to fill a sheet. Come up with some creative ways to keep that in front of folks and encourage scouts to go out and sell. Obviously, you want to communicate. That should be 2 families. Communicate to families to make sure that they understand what it is they need to do, their part of this, and making sure that you're communicating that to them. Build the excitement. Again, keep the popcorn sale and keep it exciting for your scouts and your parents. And obviously, you want to have fun. This is not designed to be another full-time job for anybody. It's really designed to be fun and exciting. And at the end of the day, the fun and excitement will help you earn your sales goals. So there's some program planning resources on the website. And again, I'll send this out to you, and these will be links that you can click on. There's actually a PowerPoint that kind of walks you through this process. So if you're a committee chair or a Cub Master or a Scout Master, you can kind of walk through the program planning guide. A lot of it we covered in the planning session piece of this, but it goes into a little bit more detail. Again, there's the budget worksheet, again, as an Excel that you can type in and let it do all the calculations for you. And then planning your PAC's annual budget. And we talked about some of those things with uniforms and some of those necessary expenses that you have to have in your budget, and then some of the things that you could add into that. So there's one for PAC troops and crews. So depending on your unit, you can use the specific materials. It also talks about fundraising and fundraising guidelines and those types of things, which all need to be taken into consideration when you're planning your program. So there's some additional resources as well, more specifically to the popcorn sale. MichiganScouting.org/popcorn 2018. We've posted a lot of the resources up there for you already. Leaders guides, the order form, the prize brochure, lots of sales tools that you can download and share. And some of it is unit-based, some of it is for scouts and parents. Show and sell inventory worksheets, all kinds of stuff. So there's tons of resources up there specifically to the popcorn sale that we've put up there to help you kind of manage your sale. There's a few things that we haven't added yet, but we'll be adding those very quickly. But for the most part, a lot of the material is there and available for you to download. You can text MCC POP to 555-888 if you haven't already. We'll send out some reminders. We're also doing some popcorn pop quiz. Did one last week and gave away a remote control helicopter. So if you want to participate in those pop quizzes, you'll need to sign up. That's how we communicate the questions and how you enter those. And then also, if you have any questions, you can email us at mccpopcorn@scouting.org. So again, I'll send this out to you so that you have all of that as a reference, and we'll post it up on the website along with the recording. Are there any questions? If you have a question, go ahead and drop it in the Q&A. Okay, so I think Rachel asked, when will show and sell dates be released for us to sign up? I think you're probably referring to like the Kroger dates. Those will be actually before the first kickoff, which will be coming up within the next few days, I believe it is. And we'll be communicating that out to folks via email and text message. So as soon as that is finalized, we have the dates, we have all of that. We're just building the system for registration. Yep. There's a couple of others at other locations. Obviously, they're not for everybody in the state that we're working on as well besides Kroger. One of them is Bass Pro, very, very good supporters of scouting. and both locally and nationally. And so we're working with them as well as Cabela's to be able to provide some show and sell opportunities for Scout units at Bass Pro. Okay, are there any other questions? All right, well, I guess not. So appreciate everybody joining us again tonight. Again, we're trying to keep these brief and providing you some additional resources that you may not be familiar with or need a refresher. Our next webinar will be on July 21st at 8 a.m. and that will be growing your popcorn sale. And we're going to talk about some of the unit growth incentives that we have. You know, they're not a secret. You'll see them on the website. But some of the growth incentives that we have for units, whether you're a Cub Pack or a Boy Scout troop, by growing your sale 2,500, 5,000, or 7,500. Some of the neat stuff you can get. So. Is there a current number of show and sell dates that each troop gets? I am not 100% sure on that, Rachel. I have your email address from the registration. I'll look into that and we'll get back to you as to how many show and sell dates each unit gets. But obviously, you know, it depends on the number of units, the number of Kroger dates, all of that. But we'll find that out and get that information to you. So, all right. Well, if you don't have any other further questions, hope you enjoy the rest of your evening and good luck selling popcorn this year. We're looking for a great sale. Lots of new incentives for units and new prize program for Scouts. So excited about the sale and growing it more than we did last year. With that said, have a great night and we'll talk to you soon.